What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin, and with me today, as always, is Alan.
Good evening.
And Bobby.
Hatcast. All three of us wearing baseball caps for the Hatcast.
Corbin, what does the front of your hat look like?
The front of my head?
Yeah, we see the back. What's the front?
The world may never know.
Oh, God. Oh, God, we're finding out. Okay, all right. It's the first order. Okay.
Yeah, it's the Empire.
Hatcast.
Okay.
Hatcast.
Anyway, so we have a great show for you today. We are going to be continuing our hellish dreamscape down the road that is the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise with the fourth entry, The Dream Master. But before we get into it, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first one and only spoiler warning for A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. If you do not want this movie spoiled for you, please skip the time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. We are now entering week 2 of Bobby's strike on spoiler warnings until Corbin decides to watch and review the movie Shocker. Please do not cross the picket line. Alan.
Corbin,
Yeah.
do we have anything?
Here's the thing, right?
Okay.
Me and Bobby are viewing these 2 weeks very differently, right?
Okay.
Bobby thinks that he's on strike from his job. But what he doesn't realize is that he's being given time off. And I am happy to give him a second week in a row, not having to write a spoiler warning. And Alan, bring it in.
All right, so we have this incredibly boring film that we have to get through in this episode of the show. Following pretty closely after the events of Dream Warriors, we have our returning cast of Kristen, Kincaid, and Joey, who are swiftly murdered quite quickly because fuck the previous characters, out with the old, in with the new. But before Kristen is boiled alive, which admittedly, good scene, she shoots her dream magic powers into the other girl, Alice. And Alice then has the same powers that Kristen did and unintentionally brings in to her dreams quite many of her friends. But the catch here, the big switch here, Alice absorbs the power of her friends. So it's through the power of friendship, she's able to kick Freddy's ass. And let's open it from there. Now, that was a very interesting synopsis I just gave. I said at the very start that it was very boring, and then I was enthusiastic throughout. That's because I want the listeners to feel what I felt while watching this film.
Not
done with my thought. Hold on.
No, I don't like this. I don't like this slander. I haven't even had a chance to even say a goddamn thing about this movie, and I liked it.
Well,
I don't give a fuck. I think I liked it more than Dream Warriors. Fuck all you. Fuck you guys.
No.
Fuck you guys. I liked it.
this film has moments of brilliance filled with a mile of boredom.
It was very fun.
So bored. No.
This was the first, just to back up Alan here, this was the first movie we've watched in a long time where I checked to see how much time was left in the movie. And it was I wrote a note of it down, and it was at like the hour and 3 minute mark. I was just like, I haven't watched this movie in a long, long time. And I was just like, man, like, how much more of this movie is there? And there was another half an hour, and I was just like, Jesus, how has it only been an hour?
I liked it. It was fun.
It drags.
Where does it drag?
Well, like that whole first hour was really boring. I think the last half an hour does have some decent stuff in it, kind of catches up a little bit. But it just spends so much time like not doing a whole lot of anything. Like nothing interesting or nightmare-y happens for so long, and the characters are so flat, and they don't do anything with the returning characters, and like it just wasn't very interesting.
Yeah, it's very funny that like Kincaid, Joey and what's her name? Kristen. Yeah, like they're not even part of the main friend group.
No.
Like there's no reason for them to be in this movie at all. Like
other than to just get systematically wiped out for the sake of systematically wiping them out.
Yeah. Because, like, very clearly, right, Freddy no longer cares about it being the Elm Street kids, because he kills the 3 Elm Street kids, and he's like, well, souls are tasty. Like, and, like, that's it. Like, it's great.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. There's so many cool little, fun little bits. This is, I know, you're like, oh, Dream Warriors is the first time, like, but, like, this is, like, a real, this is, like, a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that also gets parodied to shit, right? Him eating a soul sausage off of a soul pizza, fucking radical, dude. Right?
Yeah, I mean that part was very good. I mean there are good bits, you know. I actually think that I'll say that the 10 minutes there between Alice in the Dream Diner through the bench press bug trap
kill.
Gosh, so
like
good.
Those 10 minutes are amazing, right? And it almost makes the rest of the movie like a little bit worse because it shows, I think, you know, what else we could have had. And so many of the other kills are either like super boring or just highly irrelevant. And even the ending, which is like cool enough, it just doesn't stack up to those 10 minutes, I would say.
I think the fucking, you talking about the Freddy, when Freddy like gets devoured by the souls that he ate. It's fine. I think it's really cool. I think it's really good. I think it's really good practical effects. I think I agree with you that this movie does have some like really bad pacing problems. Like
this is the ultimate peaks and valleys movie we've seen in a while on this show. There are gulfs of just I don't care. We've talked about before, like the urge to pick up your phone. This movie got me a few times where I'm just like, oh fuck, I need to watch this. Because I was just so disinterested. And a lot of that was the first like 30, 40 minutes or so. Because one of my first notes is, I feel like this is the longest in a Freddy movie before someone dies. And it's like, it just took...
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
It might not be true, but it felt like it. And that's the problem.
Because this movie has like a high body count and all the bodies have... Like that is... When people die, that happens at a good pace. It's in between... Like you're absolutely right. There's a lot of peaks and valleys, but like it's like every 15 minutes somebody else dies. It's like so like that's not bad. It's just that there's like very much to Corbin's point. The peaks and valleys come with the content in between, because there's some good spaces that's got some really cool content, right? Like after Alice's brother dies.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's at his funeral and he comes out and he's like, hey, like she's like daydreaming. That's a cool little moment, right? But after Sheila, the black girl, the suck face, the nerd chick.
I don't remember.
We all know what I'm saying. I'm just giving every descriptor. After she dies, what happens? We all watched this movie within a couple. Yeah. I'm helping that. I'm helping. Yeah, I don't either. I watched this movie today. I don't remember. Right. And I'm choosing to see the good in this movie because those peaks are really good peaks. They're really fun peaks. Right.
Alice runs into the hallway crying because they say the line was who dies of an asthma attack at 17 or something.
He was going to be a doctor. Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's just them talking.
Yep. And then she runs into the hallway and cries. She runs like really fast, but stops like halfway. Yeah. And then her brother runs after her to console her and like almost slips on the tile, and then it just cuts away.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
so, Bobby, my big issue with this is you're right, there are kills. But for that first like 30 minutes, those kills to me are so obnoxiously boring that they don't do anything to avoid the valley that I'm already in.
Kincaid's
they're
dog
bad. They're bad,
fire.
and also like, not only are they bad, but they're this is the first 3 kills are legacy kills. So like, I think that you're kind of expecting a legacy kill to be worth something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so for honestly, like the 3 most boring kills in the whole movie to be the legacy characters is kind of like, what a waste,
Yeah.
And especially the first one, Kincaid was just like,
Yeah.
what is even going on here? And then my first note was just Freddy's back and like cascading like notes, because that was so annoying. It echoed like 9 times.
My first note is, look, this
bad.
Theme is not nearly as good as Dream Warriors. That's just
it's
true.
not.
Yeah,
it's still pretty good though.
Yeah, like yes, Dokken. Yeah, I get it. I'm not going to fight some of this stuff, right? But come on, the kid, like, is Kincaid's death particularly good? No. But the scene leading up to Kincaid's death is pretty fun. Freddy rematerializing after being pissed on by a fire dog. Like,
yeah, see, that I don't find interesting, but I do.
It's fun.
I like the effect of Freddy coming back, like the special effect.
Yeah.
But it's also like the darkest shot of the whole movie.
Yeah,
and it feels like it was probably the best effect of the whole movie, and you could like barely see it.
Yeah,
it's like, what's going on here?
Which sucks, because this movie is got that really, really fun, like mid to late 80s, like again, I use the lighting in my basement, right? Like the pink and green, like, and like red lights, where it's like all full of like weird RGB colors that like feels off-putting but fun. And like that scene, like I was waiting for that in Dream Warriors, and it never really comes in Dream Warriors, and I was annoyed by it because it was one of those things where I was conflating these 2 movies. And this movie has it in spades. It's like all over the place. It's like amazing. It's wonderful, and I love it. And it's super fun and super thematic. It's not good, but I like it, right? Like it's a personal bias thing, right? But that scene doesn't have it. It doesn't have like the color that I wanted to see. And like, fine, I'll take it. But I still like. I think part of the problem with the Elm Street kids is, you'd expect them to be smarter than that. And I think that's why it's so annoying. And I think that's why you're so disappointed in that first half hour. Like, you're just like, fine, whatever. Right? Like, but like they learn from Nancy, like they got all like, and so I get that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And like Joey's kill in particular sucks because it had really cool potential. You know what I mean? Like the water bed, and then like Freddy coming in, and like they kind of touch on it a couple different ways, and it's like, okay, this has some potential, but then it ultimately fails, right? Because it's just like, I get it, but like it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know if you can blow your load super early either. So like, either you keep the Elm Street kids alive again, and you essentially, by no other choice other than your own, remake Dream Warriors, right? Where they've got somebody who tells them what's going on. Or you can do what has worked in the past and have the characters naturally have some idea what Freddy Krueger is. And Dream Master decides to go on a bold new route and just say, fuck it, who cares?
And
you know what?
I mean, like what, you've said that, you liked this one, and
yeah,
I think
did.
It's apparent that you like it more than us, but
yeah.
like, you haven't made any particularly positive comments yet. I mean, what do you like about this movie so much? And how, like, you mentioned, you already threw out the hottest take probably of the entire episode, which is, I liked it better than Dream Warriors.
Yeah. I stand by that. Yeah.
So where does that come from? I mean, how do you get there?
Because when I think of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, when I think of a letter on Nightmare on Elm Street movie, I think the title Dream Warriors, but I think the movie Dream Master. Like, it's cheesy, it's goofy, it's colorful, right? It's got plenty of like super like thematic dream kills. Like all of those dream kills are like really thematic and like weird, and like and like he fucks and like they fuck around in the dream world a lot. They do a lot of the stuff that like Nightmare 2 did with dreams, where it's like not only just like Freddy Krueger is manipulating the dream world to kill, he's also manipulating the dream world to like stop other people from stopping him, which I think is like something that they didn't really touch on a lot in Dream Warrior, right? The whole like were they looping over and over while they're trying to save Bug Girl, really cool. Like it
actually got me.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, did I skip? And I went back,
yeah,
and I jumped forward, and I was like, oh,
yeah,
I see now.
Like this movie is deeply flawed, and I'll give it that. But like, and this movie does like a weird. It does a weird thing with later sequel horror movies that I kind of like sometimes, where like they simultaneously they take safe risks. I would say, because it's like everybody knows Freddy Krueger is making his money back, right? So just get weird with it. What's the worst that'll happen? People say you made the worst in a Nightmare on Elm Street movie. You still made a Nightmare on Elm Street, dude. Like there is that like that element. I just like it. Like I think that there's like some like, and again, right? They don't. Dream Warrior tried like I feel like still tried to like treat the property with like it's weird. It's weird Dream Warrior, because it's like now that I've watched it recently and this close to all the other ones, it's so desperately trying to be something else, but also somehow trying to be kind of serious, but like also not making Freddy Krueger like he's in the spotlight, but he's like, I don't know. There's something about it that like doesn't. But this one is just very much like fuck you, fuck it, watch it, like eat it, piggy. Like, and I did eat it, piggy. You know what I mean? Like, like it's unapologetic. I think
I'll give you that.
Yeah. Dream Masters, like Dream Warriors feels more apologetic than Dream Masters does.
I don't know about that.
I think that, I definitely think that there's some truth to the fact that different writers and directors have taken the franchise in different directions. And I think that the third one being actually associated with Wes Craven and then him not wanting anything to do with this one, even when asked, I think that, his Nightmare movies are the more serious, 1, 3, and 6. Those are the serious entries. Yeah. Those are the ones that treat Nightmare with a little bit of respect.
Yeah.
And I think, especially Dream Master and not next week, but I guess 2 weeks from now, Dream Child. They are, I think they really end up leaning on Freddy, but in ways that are not to the benefit of the film. Like this movie has a lot of good Freddy one-liners. It has a couple of, very famous at this point memes and GIFs and like moments, but they don't make, a great movie. This movie is famously Robert Englund's favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and I think that makes sense because he has a decent amount to do. He's in a lot of scenes. He's kind of like a more like a character and not just a demon in this movie. But again, like I don't know that is for the movie's benefit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, is this a better movie than Dream Warrior? I didn't say that. I would never say that. I would never in a million years say it's a better movie. I just said I liked it more, right? Like, like I had fun with it. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, sometimes that's all you need, right? Like, I enjoyed myself. I had a lot of fun.
It's just, I just can't get there with it, man. Like, the only thing I can give this movie that I think it does do incredibly well is the practical effects and body horror are phenomenal in this film. They are out of this world good. Whether it's the girl turning into a cockroach and her elbows breaking off.
Yeah, it's so good.
You want to talk just like it shows like just how good people had gotten at practical effects by this point in the late 80s. Like this would be like required reading if you were going to do like prosthetic school. Like you gotta watch this. It's
fucked up and
so
creative
good.
too. Like,
and the end with Freddy's kill, all the hands jumping out of like very good, and and it looks good too. That's the thing. Like, it not only looks good, it shows what they're trying to show. It works really well. That being said, everything else in this movie basically frustrated me. That's like the only thing I can give it, is that I think its gore was great. Everything else was just so boring.
There's some. There are some parts. Like, again, I agree. I'm not gonna fight that there are not lulls in this movie. There is, right? But like, I don't think it's just the gore.
I don't know, because I think that the most of the sequences, maybe even all of the sequences between dream moments, between kills, are filled with thin characters and wooden acting, and like, it does not get to the heights of cheesy like Dream Warriors. I think Dream Warriors is cheesy in the right way, and this movie is just like, we talked last week about the quality of the acting, and that's just not a comment you could make this week.
No, of course
everybody is worse. So, right? Okay, so the story is worse, the acting is worse, the pacing is bad, like. So these do not make for entertaining moments, like in between.
Yeah, but when the movie is 90% dream, it's awesome.
But it's not 90%.
No, I know,
Yeah,
I know.
it's
but
not.
Anytime they're in the dream world, the movie is awesome.
I think that anytime they're in the dream world, it's better. But they even misuse or underuse like the most interesting thing about this movie is the fact that our main character, Alice, daydreams, and when she is daydreaming, she is in the dream world, right? This is an interesting fact that they do not use at all, right? It happens one time. And we could be, like, that could have been something, like, you could be interspersing that throughout, and that could have been a very interesting way to have, like, Freddy harassing her throughout the movie, or for her to be seeing things and, like, conflating that with, like, real danger or fake danger or whatever. And, you don't get anything with that. And I think that is kind of exactly what like the whole movie is. It's just like a lost opportunity.
I don't know. I feel like they do that though. Like they
just like one time.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They for one kill, right? They show her daydreaming all the time, and then she ends up.
They only show her daydreaming into the dream world once, and it's like her daydreaming and seeing like
she daydreams,
her imagining
to stop Freddy in the end too. That was a daydream too. So she does it twice.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
the end of that. The end of this film is great for gore, but the way Freddy dies is lame as fuck. Show the villain their real face.
I know, and also like.
The
entire concept of the Dream Master is like so thinly laid out.
Oh
like,
God,
it's terrible.
Okay,
it's terrible.
So I want to be very clear on this. It's bad. That part is very bad. I love it, but I love it for the wrong reasons. Right?
Fair.
Yeah, I'm like, this is so stupid. She's like, oh yes, the nursery rhyme.
Right.
Value lady down to sleep. Pray the dream warrior my soul to keep.
Yeah, like, and then she turns the mirror around and he dies.
Yeah.
So lame, incredibly lame.
It's like he's seen his reflection before. We've seen him see it, like,
right? And like they're clearly like tried to like allude to the mirror being a thing. Like there's that moment early in the movie where Alice has her mirror covered up. Remember, and her brother's like, you can't even use the mirror, and she makes some quip, and like that's supposed to be laying the foundation for the finale.
That's like the foundation for Deus Ex Mirror.
No.
Yeah.
No.
They never touch on it again, right? But like that's like that the guy that that when they're writing that, they're like, oh, this is the moment. This is the mirror.
Everyone's gonna say it's the same thing with Friday the 13th and Next Generation, for the spoiler for that movie, where it's just like, yeah, did you forget about this guy? He was actually Jason the whole time.
That's a perfect example. Yeah, it's like, what? No, why would I have ever thought that?
But again, right? I love that shit. Like, it's not good, but I love that shit, man. Like, it's so fucking funny, dude. It's so fucking funny and entertaining. Because somebody legit thought, they'll get it. No! In what world?
I'll catch it on the rewatch.
Yeah.
Oh
but it's so colorful and fun though. Like,
See,
again, like
I think for me, like a lot of the fun comes from like the stuff that I really do like is like, you know, Freddy like shape-shifting or changing things about the world, and like that's why I think like the bug trap kill is really cool. Right, it has that in there, but the rest of the dream world in this one is kind of boring. I mean, you know, you have kind of like one cool dream like manipulation sequence where Kristen is on the beach, you know, and she like go like quicksand into the house. That's very cool. Like, I think, you know, you need more of that kind of stuff. Like
this movie. Okay, so why I like this movie, right, is it reminds me of in a pre-Marvel Cinematic Universe, right? Comic book movies were super comic booky, and this movie reminds me a lot of like a Sam Raimi, Spider-Man, or stuff like that, where it's like it's just goofy and wild, or like or like Batman Forever. Right, where
don't you? Like, I feel like Dream Warriors is way more that movie because Dream Warriors is also overly serious at times, which is a hallmark of those movies as well. Like, think about the Spider-Man movies, like are so campy and serious despite themselves, and like I think that's part of that.
I don't know. There's just again, part of it for me too is Batman Forever more than anything. This movie reminds me a lot of like Batman Forever, right?
I love Batman Forever. I just watched it.
I do too. It was a constant repeat of my childhood.
Like, why? Yeah. I haven't watched that film in probably 15 years.
It's very fun.
You deserve to
watch. I do. It does.
Yeah,
it does.
It's very fun and stupid.
I was more of a Batman and Robin kind of guy.
Dream Master. Are you like Batnips? Well,
I do, for the record, also prefer Batman and Robin.
What killed the dinosaurs?
It's just better. Things with Schwarzenegger in it are just better. I mean, that's just the truth of it.
Mm-hmm. A bat bomb. Anyway,
welcome to Batcast.
Yeah, no. I like the movies because, like, I don't know, this movie isn't good, but it has a weird charm to it that just is like, for me, it's very endearing. Like you said, it's very flat. It's very flat. The acting is very flat, and I think probably the majority of the charm is Robert Englund, right? But
definitely does all the legwork.
Yeah. But
he's the only actor in the whole film.
But there's just some.
It's true.
There's just some bits of it that are just kind of fun. Like it's just like. And like those parts are really fun, right? And so you're just like, yeah, like, and then like there's just sights and sounds and colors, and it's just like, yeah. And then you're just like, and then you sit back and you're like, you know, I don't know if I liked half of that movie, but I definitely liked the parts that I liked a whole bunch. And I think sometimes, quite literally, right? Obviously, critically, this movie kind of sucks ass, but sometimes that's all you need, right? like to have an experience. Sometimes that's all you need. It's just for you to be like, yeah, I like the bits I liked a lot, and that's okay for me. Does that make sense? Am I?
Yeah, I'm not saying that statement, of course, makes sense. You know, I think that there's definitely movies that I would say like, oh, I like that movie and the reason is just because of like two sequences, you know, or whatever. Yeah. But I guess for this movie in particular, the highs are not high enough for me personally. Like the highs are good, but they're not high enough to make up for the lows. And I think the lows are overwhelming. So I think that's just it for me. So like I understand how you could get there. I'm just having trouble getting there.
That's fine. I don't need you to. I'm objectively right all the time, and if you want to languish in wrongdom, it's okay.
This whole show is about me languishing in wrongdom. That's what we'll look.
Tagline of the show: Bobby and Corbin languish in wrongdom. Bobby's right.
Oh man.
But speaking of y'all languishing in wrongdom, you ready to rate this bad boy?
Yeah, I'm ready to rate.
You know, if we were gonna do that, we would have to do it on a scale, and that scale's got to be between 0 and 5, with half points allowed. However, you can't You can't use quarter points. It's unacceptable. We can't have
Of course,
that shit in
of
this
course
place.
not.
So with that said, who do you want to go first, Corbin? Who's going first?
I think, it's been a while since we've done it, and I really think we should go top to bottom on scores, highest to lowest.
Okay.
Right? And so obviously I got to have Bobby give his score first.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah.
A score that may surprise you.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I really liked Dream Master, but as my co-host so rudely put it, it's not good.
Wow.
It's not good. It's fun. It's so fun. I don't give a fuck what they say. It is so fun. So it's gonna get the classic Bobby 1.5 for me.
Fucking called it.
Yeah, of course you called it. Of course you called it. When Corbin said, "Is it good?" and I said, "Of course it's not good." That should have told you everything, right? Yeah, no. Dream Warriors is ultimately a better movie. It just is, right? Like but like, there's a charm to this movie. There's a silliness to this movie that just goes beyond good and bad objectively and goes right to the point of Bobby having to understand that Bobby sometimes really just likes bad movies. So it's a Bobby 1.5.
Oh boy. Okay, well, I think it's a toss up at this point. It probably doesn't matter. Alan, why don't you go?
I think that this may have been one of the most boring films I've watched for this show, by a fairly wide margin. The highs did not even remotely get up to. They did not nearly make up for the lows in any capacity for me. I enjoyed the gore, so it'll get 1 point for that, and that's all I can give it. I think the acting is awful. I think that the story is garbage. I think the fact that the legacy characters die in the most boring ways in a in a Nightmare on Elm Street film is ridiculous. Like, it just, and then on top of all of that, it's just bad so many times that I can't. 1 out of 5.
All right.
You're telling me more boring than
I was looking through a list of movies
4? More boring than Ghoulies 4?
Yes.
More boring than My Best Friend's Exorcism? Yeah, you forgot we did that movie, but we did.
That movie had some fun to it.
No, you're wrong.
I laughed a couple times watching that movie.
Exactly.
More boring than...
Bobby's actually...
Oh, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City?
I had fun with that film. It was garbage, but
I did watch that again.
Here's the key thing. I wouldn't watch this again.
Bobby is affecting my score in real time as he's listing these other movies.
Oh shit! Okay, go for it.
No. I mean, you're right. You're right to mention these films. You're right to mention them. So I think I'm glad that you brought up My Best Friend's Exorcism. Right. I'm glad that you brought that up in particular, partially because I did forget we watched that movie. And I remember it every time I go to the bookstore and I see Grady Hendrix movies or books in the horror section. And I remember that not only did I not like that movie, but I also didn't like his book, The Final Girl Support Club.
That was the same guy?
Yeah. And I gave, for everybody else that has forgotten, because it's been like a year, I gave or 8 months, whatever. I gave My Best Friend's Exorcism a 1 out of 5, right? And I probably would put this movie at about that tier. I think that I'm as likely to rewatch either of them. They have about as much about them that I like. I think they're both pretty bad. And I historically do like A Nightmare on Elm Street, and I'll say that I remember enjoying all 3 of the Dream trilogy. And maybe I've changed, but I'm going to give this a 1 out of 5 as well.
How much this specific franchise has fallen very swiftly for us. We're riding the highs. Friday 1, great. Fuck, I did it again. Friday. Nightmare 1, great. Nightmare 2, weird but good. Nightmare 3, Dream Warriors, fantastic. This film, garbage.
You know what? Just guess what? Spoiler warning, I guess. There's not a single Friday movie that's getting above a 1 for me. Fuck you guys.
You're just wrong. Jason Lives.
Some of those
are
pretty
film.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. You can't. You're gonna say that, and then you're gonna watch Jason Lives and be like, okay, so it's at least a 2.
No,
that's my prediction.
4 is good. 6 is good. 10 is fun.
You forget my spite.
That is fair.
I hope to remember your spite by then.
I can't be bothered.
Oh man. Well, hey. Rating movies isn't the only thing we do at this show. We also discuss whether or not a movie is essential to horror as a whole. If you skipped ahead to this portion, this spot is spoiler free. And our scores so far have been a 1.5 out of 5 for Bobby, and then 1 out of 5 for myself and Alan. As a reminder, this is about Nightmare on Elm Street 4. So we're going to go ahead and discuss now. Is that movie essential to horror? Let's go reverse order, I guess. So I'll start. And I am just going to come out with a resounding no. I think that it does have a pretty good some good sequences, but I think that everything that I mentioned last week about Dream Warriors pushing Freddy into like the stratosphere of like as like a rock star character, a pop culture icon. I don't know that this movie does more of that. It just kind of continues riding the wave of what had been pushed. What I will give this movie major props for is that it was the #1 Nightmare movie, period. It made the most money, not counting Freddy vs. Jason. And I would put that all on the back of Dream Warriors. That one was really good, so people came out to see the next one. But I don't think that this movie does a whole lot for the industry or for the genre, and is actually just like the beginning of the end for the Nightmare franchise. So I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Yeah, no. Just no. The thing for me is I feel like we already know who Freddy is. You know? And we were pretty accustomed to who Freddy is coming into this film. And that kind of does make it a bit harder for the later entries to really like do something where you go, oh wow, I never would have expected that could be a thing Freddy would do. Like, they it's an uphill battle that they're going to constantly have to climb. And I feel like that's ultimately going to be probably one of the problems with the franchises. They really can't surpass what they've already done. And it's going to be hard to really ever do better than what they've done in previous works. So I'm going with a big no. Absolutely not.
When you think of the greatest rock bands of all time, I think all three of us can agree that one name comes to mind. AC/DC. When you think of AC/DC, right? Everybody thinks that all their good songs came out from one album, and then they just kind of remade that album over and over and over again. Actually, it's not so. Every AC/DC song is like spread out for like the late 70s to early 80s, right? That being said, right, you all think of Thunderstruck when you think of the AC/DC album, right? Let's just be real, right? And while Freddy Krueger is the ultimate rock and roll slasher, right? Much like AC/DC is the ultimate rock and roll band. Yeah. Unfortunately, and you do think, when you think of Freddy Krueger, sometimes you do think of, much like a Hell's Bells, you think of the cockroach scene, or like you think of some of these quintessential kills, right?
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it just isn't enough to be considered essential.
I'm like, where is he going with this? Because it doesn't make the Razor's Edge an essential album from AC/DC. Like, just because Thunderstruck is on there. I'm like preparing. I'm like, there's a lot of unessential AC/DC albums. I don't know where we're going.
Oh man,
Jesus!
Of all the bands you picked AC/DC.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah,
well, because the reality is, when you think of Akadaka, right? The reality is like they've just released the same song.
Yeah.
For the last
50 years,
80 fucking years or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, pre-Elvis.
Yeah. Their first singer died, but it did not stop them from just releasing the same song over and over and over again. Like,
there's a little bit of a sound change, a little bit,
barely.
No, yeah. The guy that you can kind of tell maybe who is who. They do not sound that different. They do not sound.
I think you're wrong there, buddy. Bon Scott and what is his name?
Yeah, what is his name?
I
don't know his name. Bon Scott was the original singer. I know that. He died of alcohol poisoning.
He did.
At the age of 27.
You talking about the other vocalist, Brian Johnson?
That's the guy.
Yeah, the guy,
he sounds nothing like Bon Scott. I'm sorry. If you put Bon Scott and him next, I guarantee you, anyone with ears would be like, those are two different people. There's no
anyone with ears,
literally, except maybe your daughter, who has very little context of music and 3 years of
you know what? You're right. It's essential now. How do you feel about that now?
I don't like that.
Bad. I feel bad about that. I mean, to be fair, I mean, Bon Scott was like barely in the band. I mean, Brian Johnson really
like
is AC/DC. Yeah, like.
But yeah. No, of course
goodness.
not. Of course, the answer is no. Right? Like, it's Dream Master is fun. You should watch it. I said it. Yeah. Don't listen to them. Remember our motto, dear listener. Bobby is objectively right all the time.
That's only your motto. Nobody else
no, it's the podcast motto. I have cult leader eyes, and I will. You all follow me to all wear bowl cuts and cut your penises off. That's it. That is a Heaven's Gate reference.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
All right. Well, speaking of late term circumcision, what are your handles for?
Christ. Jesus. What a turn from making my buzz into a
Oh boy.
That was good. Alan.
He's been saving that.
Every 4 weeks, every 4 to 8 weeks, I get one good one. So here we are.
Every time when Bobby needs him most, Alan delivers.
In his hour of need, Alan shows up.
It's like, man, I bombed that joke really hard, and Ellen comes in with a fucking late-stage circumcision joke. Holy shit. Amazing. You can find me at twitch.tv/threadweenie, where I streamed for approximately 33 seconds this last week. I thought I was streaming. I wasn't. But all my relevant socials are there. Nice. Alan is definitely blurry for a second. It was real weird. But all my relevant socials are there. And twitch.tv/threadweenie. What have I been up to? I went to go see Book of Mormon. Me and my wife, it's our first wedding anniversary. It's the paper anniversary, so we both got each other tickets to experiences. Book of Mormon is my favorite show because it is very funny, and it does a lot of stuff about class and race, and in a way that I think is very, very both funny, because I think Matt Stone and Trey Parker are just funny people, but also very smart. It's really good. I was really nervous it was going to be a lot more problematic than it was, and it really wasn't that bad. So I was cool with it. But yeah, twitch.tv/threadweenie. Come hang out, I guess. Yes.
Nice. Yeah. You can find me on Twitter or on Mastodon at CoreBangerang or at Bolters_Bourbon, which is where I talk about Warhammer and other miniature war games. What have I been up to lately? Nothing super interesting, honestly. it is my daughter's birthday really soon, so honestly, it's just been like celebrating that and then getting ready for the party. And in the interim, doing this and doing Destiny and Warhammer stuff. Kind of just vibing on the day to day. If there's anything that I would want to shout out, I don't think I mentioned it on here. We used to talk more about like cooking and stuff. I've been going through this experiment, I would say, the last couple of months, where we're trying out like different meal kit plans, because we love to cook, but like, finding time to go to the grocery store and pick recipes is like too much. And that's been really great. I would say if you're on the edge, probably just give it a shot. I mean, we're saving time and money, so it's like it just makes sense. We're currently
you hear that
early
meal planning kits? You hear that ad right there?
Sponsor me, Martha Stewart.
Give us money.
I take your money in a heartbeat.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean that's it. That's what I do. So yeah, at Corbangering, at Bulgers_Bourbon. Yeah.
You can find me at a Seal Punter just about anywhere. I have been having my body rebel against me because it's the spring. And fun fact, everybody, I have incredibly bad allergies. And for the past few years, ever since I became not fat, they haven't been so bad. This year, for some reason, though, they're awful. My eyes are burning constantly. I wake up with congestion. It's terrible. So I've been dealing with that. And on the horizon, keep thinking. In less than a week from right now, hell, when you're listening to this, I'll probably be sleeping because I'm going to be traveling to Cabo next. Well, I guess tomorrow from release, I will be on a plane to Cabo, where I will be in paradise for a week with my wife. Very much so looking forward to this vacation.
But Alan, where is Cabo?
It's in Mexico.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's international.
Yeah, I'm traveling outside of the States for the third time ever in my life.
I've never done it.
It's ever?
Honestly,
Nope.
It's a lot easier getting in and out of the country than I expected, frankly. Like,
Oh,
it's really
yeah.
not that big.
Yeah.
You just show them your little book, and they're like, "Yeah, get out of here."
Oh, well, yeah. Oh, coming in. So last year we went to the Dominican Republic. That was a joke. You could be anybody and get into that country because they're like, who gives a shit? And even coming back into the States, I mean, we sat in a line. We're like, here's my passport.
I feel like there's a
3
conversation about privilege that we're probably all unqualified to talk about.
Yet here it goes.
Yeah.
I've done it 3 times, and it's been super easy.
Yeah, they said, "Welcome back to the country," or something like that. I'm like,
yeah,
well,
you
thanks,
feel like a badass immediately.
It does honestly feel kind of cool. Like you got freedom back. It's cool.
No, it's great.
Other than that, I've been painting some boys. My Alpha Legion for the Horus Heresy. I got a guy right here. That's really it. A Seal Punter just about anywhere.
Nice. And hey, you can follow the podcast at Essential Scares on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where we post with some regularity about horror and also the podcast itself. We would love it if you followed us on those platforms, and maybe you'll be rewarded for doing so with a post. In the bios to all of our socials is Bobby's like, I said maybe. In the bios for all of our socials, no, it's a link to our Discord server, which I will reply to you on. I'm very active on Discord, and I'd love to talk to you about movies, music, TV, whatever. So hit us up there. We are fast approaching episode 100. We haven't mentioned it too much, except that I think last week I called it the 100th episode spectacular, which is how I've been viewing it for like 40 episodes. But we've got some plans going on. We will not be reviewing a new movie, but the long and short of it is that we need suggestions for after episode 100 because Nightmare is going to bring us into it. So if there's anything that you want us to watch, to review, shout it out, send us a note, whatever, and we'll put it on the list. We'd love to talk about that movie. I mentioned it a few times now, but one of our favorite movies ever of these first 100 episodes was a fan suggestion, and I would love to get another one of those.
Be great.
I fucking love Blood Diner, man.
It's so good. Yeah.
It's so good.
But that is it for us this week. Thank you so much to everybody for listening or for watching. If you like the show, share it with your friends and your family. Like, rate, subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Push the little bell on YouTube. You know what to do. Next week, Alan's going to be gone. He just said it. He's gone for a whole week. So it's just going to be me and Bobby. And we're going to be reviewing something.
I'm going to make him watch Shocker. I'm going to make him watch Shocker again. It's going to happen. We're going to do 2 episodes of Shocker, 2 episodes special of Shocker.
100 episodes, 99 movies. But so tune in next week to see if we watch Shocker again or something else. Thank you to Alan and Bobby for being on the show with me. I have been your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scares.
Play that breakdown, baby.